Call meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilwoman Scott, will you please introduce us?
Heavenly Father, we come to you with humble hearts and we ask that you give us wisdom as we make decisions that will affect our community. We ask you to bless and protect our employees, police officers, and first responders and keep them safe. Father, we also thank you for the members of the military, both past and present, and ask that you keep them safe. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
All right, Mr. Fair will not be here this evening. Bill.
Motion to excuse.
Second.
Bennett?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
All right, minutes.
Motion for the minutes.
Second.
Bennett?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
Bills.
Motion for bills.
Second.
Bennett?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
Hourly workers' time report.
I saw one in there.
Yeah, I think there's two in it.
It should be two.
Two.
Okay, are you all right? We'll go with fireman's time.
Motion.
Second.
I'm sorry, who?
This week.
Okay, thank you. Bennett?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
Can we go back to the bills? Who seconded the
Yeah.
bills? Okay, I want to make sure I had it right. Okay.
All right, Debbie, you're up. Clerk treasurer report.
Okay, last week, we received the first invoice for our audit. The auditors were here for 1 week. They will be back in the spring. State of Ohio notified me that they've approved the first bill for the auditors at 80% of the audit being completed for $10,416.
Motion to pay the bill.
Second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott?
Yes.
Is that 80% of what it's gonna cost?
Yes.
Okay.
We had last week a meeting with Ohio Billing, and I copied each of you information that they provided to us. I thought it was very interesting for 2018, the year 2019. Talks about the runs. It's just general information. You could see some of the information they track and help work on. I also copied a PC repair scam notice he sent through today to all of his customers, letting us know that there's already scams out going to individuals regarding income taxes. So I gave a copy to everybody, the girls, the departments, so they can see it in case something comes through to their home. And I would like to have a vote to move money. I would like to take several thousands of dollars and move it from Apple Creek Bank and put it back into Star Ohio. Star Ohio, when we moved money to the bank, it was giving us more interest than Star was. Well, now Star's giving more money than the bank. And I would like to move a substantial amount back to Star Ohio.
How much?
About $500,000.
I'll make a motion, we move it.
Second.
Bennett?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
The last thing I have is actually the legislation, and several of the items will be just the first reading. I have ordinance number 20-02, an ordinance establishing a cash and investment policy of the Village of Beach City and repealing ordinance and resolutions in conflict therewith. Will be your first reading. I have the first reading of ordinance number 20-03, an ordinance establishing a public records policy for the Village of Beach City and repealing ordinances and resolutions in conflict therewith.
Is that first reading?
First reading. The first reading of ordinance number 20-04, an ordinance establishing a purchasing card policy for the Village of Beach City and repealing ordinance and resolutions in conflict therewith. These are the three items that the auditors wanted us to take care of. The policies are written, completed, but we need to pass legislation, and we can then put them in the handbook.
These only have to be approved by the time that audit is done, right?
Oh, these are from the last audit, not this audit.
Oh, from the last.
Yeah. And then we have the first reading, and then we'll have to discuss it, decide whether you're gonna pass it. It's the first reading of resolution number 20-02, an emergency resolution to accept the One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding. And this is in regards to the opioid information the solicitor provided.
Notice, wasn't there a timeline on that?
There's some lack of clarity, but the deadline that was established was March 6, 2020 is when they're asking that municipalities and local governments have the response submitted. Now, understanding that some local governments don't meet, we're fortunate we do today, but they had sent it out a week from last Friday. So they'd given 2 weeks, and municipalities that might meet, for example, on the second Monday of the month would not have an opportunity to ever meet and discuss it. So when follow-up information was requested, we were told that they would give leeway, so that if you did pass it, say on the 9th, that they would still accept it.
How
But
about if we suspend the rules on it? So it can go?
Make it a motion.
What?
You making the motion?
I was asking first.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
Yes, I'll
that's,
make the motion.
I mean, that's what's,
I'll second.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Before we do
that's-
that.
Question.
I know you're still trying to figure this thing out. I mean, do we really want to pass an ordinance for something that we really don't know what's going on with it?
well,
Exactly.
from what I've been told, it is considered a framework, and it will not impact the rights of the village as it relates to the decision to go into litigation. If the village does nothing and does not accept it, then we remain status quo. We would be able to file a lawsuit on our own. The issue that you have from the county level to entire state, well, not entire states, but large cities, is that, for example, Stark County, together with the cities of Canton, Alliance, and Massillon, filed a lawsuit. All of those lawsuits filed in state court were moved to federal court, and then consolidated into a multi-district litigation with Judge Polster presiding. The judge has thus far chosen to activate several cases at a time. It started with Cuyahoga Summit. There's no real rationale. He has his own decision-making process. Nobody knows how he's making that decision, and there's no way to move up. So in those cases, we're rolled into the MDL, and then our case is just sitting there paused while other municipalities are activated. So Cuyahoga Summit went, those settled, and Judge Polster has now activated the cities of San Francisco, Chicago, the state of West Virginia, and the Cherokee Nation. So those are the next ones up. The reason for I think the rush in it, based on what I've been told, is that the state of New York has a trial date scheduled for March, this month. And the fear is that if the state of New York settles, they're gonna take some of the, whatever money's there. If these cities like Chicago, San Francisco, state of West Virginia, and Cherokee, if they settle, they're going to take more money. If it went to trial, the state of New York, where they can't settle it, it goes to trial, if you had a $1 trillion jury verdict, which could be possible, I don't know the underlying evidence, then the whole thing is done. There's no money left. So this is an attempt to bring municipalities in the state of Ohio together and try to negotiate. I can say I walked in very skeptical of the arrangement when I went to the meeting that I did. And when it was the Attorney General who stood up and said, who here has a trial date? And these are all litigants in the actual political subdivisions who filed lawsuits. Not a single hand went up. We're all sitting there waiting. And he said, I do. The state of Ohio has a trial in, I think, September. So what they're trying to do is use the state's leverage, because they have a trial date, to see if they can get a settlement. So if the village intended to file a separate lawsuit, it would be probably not a good idea to join this unless you wanted to take a shot at it. But I don't think that there is that willingness, and therefore it becomes, do you want to join and see if there's money to be had or not join? I can say if you join, according to everything that's been said, that you'll get a piece of the settlement if there is one. Nobody's ever even said that there will be a settlement or that there's any numbers that have been thrown out. If you don't join it, then I don't know how they'll treat you, but you may not get a part of the settlement. But it's entirely up to council. That's just my impression, is they're going to go bankrupt sooner or later.
So it's sort of like a class action? Is that what they're trying to get
Well,
all of us together to go?
The idea is that we're all stuck in this multi-district litigation, and all of our cases are stayed from the county. I guess the city of Chicago, before being activated, they litigated theirs for 3 years and then got rolled into the same MPL, standing in line waiting. So what I think the goal is to bring as many political subdivisions in Ohio together as possible, so that they can, one, say, we've got a trial date in September, and two, we've achieved critical mass. We've got these political subdivisions that we're negotiating on behalf of. I can't guarantee that it's going to be a good deal at the end of the day, but I think it might be the only deal that.
That's not gonna cost us anything.
It will not cost anything. You have not signed an agreement with an attorney. You're not pursuing your own litigation. You're simply saying, we'll go along with the MOU. But,
Thank you.
yeah, and I apologize. It isn't that I haven't asked some of these questions, like how are the percentages determined? It's that I have not been given the answers. And we're under this tight timeline because New York's moving forward. So it's as much information as I can
All right,
provide.
thank you.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Aye.
Mr. Bailey?
Dean and I seconded.
Bennett?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Bennett?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm done.
Okay. We got one thing, we forgot, last meeting, we forgot to vote on donating the Crown Vic to the fire department. We never made a vote on that. We got to vote on that so we can take it off our inventory.
So moved.
Second.
Bennett?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
All right, we have any visitors speak?
No.
No? Okay. Any council complaints? Mr. Anderson? Chief Anderson?
I got a few things. I apologize for not being here last meeting. It was a long day at work and I couldn't do it. So total calls year to date is 45. As of the same date last year, we had 41 calls. Our mutual aid summary, we give mutual aid to Brewster 2 times and we receive mutual aid from Brewster 5 times. So as I said, I'm going to be fair. I mean, it's not always us always helping them. I mean, it's a mutual thing, and that's why we have these mutual aid agreements. So when we can't make it, they can, and vice versa. So One thing I want to go back to, and I wanted to be here to explain, I want to go back to December 16th. As you all know, December 16th, our squad was responding to an emergency run. We were going to the village of Brewster. They hit a deer at Camp Wanakee. The most important thing is nobody was injured. That was the first question I had asked. Nobody was injured. The squad had a total of $4,700 and some odd damage to the squad. The squad is at Liberty Ford. I talked to Lou at Liberty today. Lou said they're getting the transmission fluid back in it. They got the mechanical stuff done to it. The parts are all in. He's hoping to have everything back, and we will have our squad back hopefully by Friday. One question I do have on the squad, the insert of the back bumper. We dented this insert several years ago. Somebody backed into a pole at Engle Terrace leaving a call, and we've left it go. Well, I hate to put all this money into this truck. The truck comes back looking like a new truck again, and this bumper's still dented. So Lou called Burgess, which is where we would have to get the insert. Burgess can sell and ship us the insert. It's $287.40 plus shipping. I was going to have Liberty just do it. The problem is it's 7 to 10 day delivery time frame. I don't want to hold our squad out of service for another 10 days. So my question is, I'd like to get approval from council to contact Burgess tomorrow and order this bumper insert, have it shipped to us, and when we get the truck back and get it in service, it's a bolt and go type thing. We'll have our guys do the labor. We'll save money with not doing Liberty doing the labor, and the bumper will be fixed, and the truck will be back to where it should be. This is not going to hold the truck out of service. We've been running the truck for 2 years like this. I just hate to see us put the money into fixing this truck and not get the dent fixed. The dent should have been handled years ago, and we just let it go because it didn't run the truck out of service.
Is that the only thing you got for?
Money-wise, that's the only thing I'm asking for tonight. Yes, it'd be $287.40 plus shipping. I do not know what shipping will be.
Are you gonna keep the old bumper?
I'll probably scrap it. I mean, it's not worth nothing unless you guys know something to do for it. It'd probably be put in a scrap pile.
Was this claimed on insurance back when you did that?
No, it was not.
That wouldn't have went, we would have had to pay the deductible.
Right, and that was why we didn't jump. We talked to Deb years ago, and the deductible would have been higher than the damage, so we just let it go. But like I said, I hate to put all this money back into the squad. This number one, it's our newer squad. It's the 2014. We're gonna have this truck for years. I mean, I hate to get everything fixed, get it back, and have this big dent still be in the bumper that's been in the bumper for years. So, I mean, I'm not trying to mislead you. It's been that way. Cosmetically, it looks bad, but it's not holding it out of service. But I would like to get the bumper and get it fixed, and we'll put it on. If it's a bolt and go, we'll get our guys to do it and save the labor.
I'll make the motion to go ahead with it.
Second. Bennett,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
and Schott.
Yes.
So now, still talking about the squad, obviously, every year you guys know I come over for service on the small trucks, well, on all the trucks. They'll all be due, I want to say they're probably due around May, maybe June. So what I did is I told Liberty, I said, let's go ahead and service this truck. There's no sense in bringing it home, putting it back in service, and in a month taking it out of service again, taking it back. So when we get the truck back, the oil will be changed, the brakes will be serviced, whatever we do on an annual service, it'll all be done, and the truck will be home, and it'll go back into service. We're gonna run it for a while, make sure we don't have any problems. That's what Liberty would like us to do. But we're fairly certain that when it's back together, it should be in good shape. So when it comes back, it should be good to go. I'm hoping it'll be back this Friday, hopefully, as long as everything goes good. All of our new turnout gear is in. It's all been put into service. I put it onto the inventory today. Also, all the ISI packs that Brewster donated to us are in service now. They are in the units. Were added to inventory today after I talked with Debbie. What I am asking for is I'm asking for permission. I talked to Tusk County firefighters. We have approximately 8 Scott packs that are outdated. I think there's 16 bottles that go with the Scott packs. Now, the Tusk County firefighters, the last time we had packs that were outdated, they took them. They utilized them. I don't know if they got new bottles for them. The packs technically aren't outdated, but the bottles are. Maybe they're running them outdated. That's on them if they are. I'm asking for permission that we donate them packs to Tusk County. We also have like 28 helmets that we will never use again. They're working helmets, but we'll never use them because we went to a different style helmet with our new gear. I'm asking to donate them. And I also have about 20 pairs of rubber boots that we will never use again. I would like to take all this stuff off the inventory. I've already requested all the stuff from Stephanie. It's all in her door. I would like to take it off our inventory. I would like permission to donate it to Tusk County firefighters.
Motion. Let me ask you one thing before you. On the Scott packs, we can't be held liable anyway.
No, because we're donating these in an as-is condition.
Okay.
They know that, and it was the same as the last time. We're telling them, hey, these things are, according to NFPA, they're technically out of service. And I mean, if they go out and buy new bottles for them, they'd be back in service, but we didn't want to spend that money for a pack that was as old as what it is. The way I inventoried the new ISIs, I did them in a blanket inventory because with any luck, we have a FEMA grant going in, would actually be going in next month. And if we pass this FEMA grant, them ISIs are coming right back off our inventory next year. This was a save the village type thing, get us a year on these SCBAs, because Brewster just got their new ones. Their bottles are good for another year, where ours were expired in November. So this is saving us for a year to get us by, and we're gonna pray to God that we get this grant. I think we will. If we don't, if you remember, that was part of the push for the tax levy is to get our packs, because we have to get them. So with Brewster donating us packs, it's getting us by until next year, until we can get some money in and hopefully get this grant. And these ISIs will be taken right off, and I mean, we could donate them to whoever too,
I'll
so.
second.
How many of those packs did you say there were?
There's 8 packs total, and I believe it's 16 bottles. But the bottles, like I said, are all expired. The packs are good, the bottles are expired.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
I did.
Okay. Bailey, you second?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott?
Yes.
Do we have that second cot? Is it?
We do. That was the
delivered?
next thing I was getting to. Here's, how do you define irony? Irony is we waited forever for a second cot. We finally got it, and the day it was delivered, we towed our squad, and we don't have a second squad. The cot's over there. Everything's ready to go. It's covered up in plastic. It's charging, and when the squad comes back, the new cot will go into service. That'll be the cot we will run with the squad. I'd say for a few weeks, make sure all the bugs are worked out of not only the cot, but also the squad. So,
Okay.
yes, it is in-house. It's sitting over there. If anybody'd like to see it, it's identical to the other one, but it's over there. I want to remind everybody again, I'm not asking tonight, but I want to remind you, we got to get the service done on the Jaws yet this year. That's coming. Maybe once the weather breaks, we'll get permission to do that, but I just want to keep it on your minds. Also, we did our ISO rating. I was going to bring this up last meeting. It was on my list. ISO rating went good. The only thing, we don't know our rating. He said it'd be 3 to 4 months. The only thing he did do, and I've been talking with Greg, we do have to flow test our hydrants. We do not have any updated hydrant flows. That is not an option. He's not coming back for 4 years, but with the next time he comes back, we have to have flow rates to provide him. So I've already been in touch with Greg. We're already working it out. We're gonna, I think we decided every 4th hydrant. We're gonna wait until we flush our hydrants. There's no sense in wasting the water. We'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. As long as we have them flow rates before he comes back in 4 years, we'll be in good shape. He didn't see any changes that were gonna be made to ISO, which is good. If anything, it might increase a little bit because we went up to 2 engines since the last time he was down. That may help us. But as far as the township and, you know, our ratings are probably gonna remain the same.
Bill, do you upgrade just in case you ain't here or Greg ain't here for the 4 years?
Somebody
You just
will.
keep that going?
Somebody will. What we're gonna do is we're gonna flow, we'll flow, like we said today, we'll probably flow 1 out of every 4. And then next year when they flush hydrants, we'll do the second one out. And by the end of 5, 6 years, we'll have a flow rate on every hydrant, and then we'll just keep it going. So, and that's what he suggested. He said, we don't need a flow rate on every hydrant. He said 1 or 2 off of each line would be sufficient. But honestly, we need to check flow rates anyway, because like we talked, we still have hydrants in this town that don't have a 4.5-inch steamer, and that's unheard of. I mean, these hydrants they're old. They need replaced.
Are those the first ones you're going after then?
That's up to your administrator. I would venture to say my suggestion is Obviously, leaking hydrants would be first, but these old hydrants definitely need to be on the priority list, because we still train to hit them, you know what I mean? But they're just not sufficient hydrants. These things are, I wouldn't even want to take a guess on how old these hydrants are, so. And I've been talking a lot with Greg, we've been working a lot together since this ISO rating, and we'll get through it. I just want to make sure you guys are aware where we're at, so. One thing I want to bring up, and I'm not asking for anything on this, I just want you to keep this in the back of your mind. If you read the Brewster Council minutes, last Brewster Council minutes, their Firemen's Association agreed to buy 20-some new pagers. So I'm going to tell you, I don't know for certain, but I'm without asking, I'm certain they're Marks pagers. Wilmots are already on Marks pagers. The only two left using UHF pagers on the South Tower would be Beach City and Erie Valley. Erie Valley would probably have the money to jump whenever they want to. I'm guessing, I'm not speaking for them. Beach City, not so much. But here's what I'm going to tell you. If it comes down to where Beach City Fire is the only one left on the South Tower, they're not going to keep it. They're going to decommission that tower, I assure you that. And I know Cody Post, the new director at Red Center, we've already had these talks and meetings. If they decommission that tower, we have to buy Marks pagers. That's the only way we're paged out, is by a Marks, will be by a Marks pager if there's no South Tower. So keep that in mind. You're talking, if we go to a standard Marks pager, I priced dual band pagers before with an amplified base. We don't need all that if we go all Marks. We're still probably talking, I'd say the cheapest you're gonna get is about $400 a pager. And we're gonna need 25 of them anyway. So I mean, we're talking in upwards of $10,000. We've applied for grants, we haven't been lucky. The fire marshal give us all the money pretty much we needed for the radios, but he's not gonna give any money for pagers until he gets everybody in the state of Ohio under radios. And I mean, I understand his point of view, I absolutely do. So I'm not saying we need to jump now, I'm just preparing you for the future. Brewster's jumping, that's another department off the South Tower. Wilmot already jumped. Beach City and Erie Valley are the last two.
Will there be enough in the levy that we passed if we do it over time? So you need 24 right now?
Well, let me say this, because when we had the levy meeting, so I didn't mislead any of our residents, I told them that we applied for a grant for our SCBA's. Our SCBA's was almost $100,000 of that levy money. So if we get the grant for the SCBA's, then yes, we have the money with our new levy money to buy pagers instead of SCBA's. That may be our cop-out. It may be a year, it may be 2 years, it might be 6 months. I may get a phone call from Cody saying, hey, you know, everybody's jumping, we're deep. I don't know, I'm just giving you the heads up.
Or look at it and see whether you can't figure out how to get a few over time instead of
The
trying to do it all at
problem
one
with
time.
doing that is if we get a few, we gotta buy the dual band, because then you gotta be able to page off the UHF and
Yeah, but
800.
you'd already have the other ones anyway, would you?
Well, we could do that, buy a few and store them and keep using the old ones. The new ones won't work until we go to Marks paging.
that's
And
what
once
I'm
we go to
talking
Marks
about.
paging, then we would have to have all new ones. Like I said, I'm not trying to scare
It's
anybody.
just one of them ideas.
I just read this in the council minutes earlier today, and I can see where this is heading already, so I'm just trying to prepare us. I try to keep up on things, and sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but I'm telling you, after conversations with Red Center and more departments going to Marks pagers, I'm telling you, it's leading to this. They're wanting to get rid of that tower, and rightfully so. It's costing them money, and we really don't use it for
Which
anything.
tower are we on, the one at Navarre?
We're on a Marks tower that's up towards the top of the world, but we're still paging off a UHF tower that's on the top of the world. So that's the tower they're gonna end up decommissioning, and when that date is, I'm sure they'll give us ample notice. Cody's very good up here at Red Center. I don't know when the date will be. I'm not even saying it'll be within the next year or two. It's all gonna depend on what they wanna do at Red Center.
Well, as long as you got the money in that as a part, then you could do that all at one time, but,
Right.
and probably get a better price.
No, I'm sure. The Brewster, I think they got a deal, they buy 10, get 1 free or something. It was in their minutes. So, like I said, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just trying to make sure people are aware where we're at.
Well, if it's that, it's gonna be something else down the line anyway.
Well,
It never
it's-
stops.
It's always something. I mean, it's trying to stay ahead of the game is part of the hardest part of this job. So, it's always something.
What would happen if the state ended up telling us that we had to go full-time like the rest of them are?
If
What
they
would
tell
happen?
us we have to go full-time like the rest of them,
Yes.
do you want to know the truth? I can tell you the truth, we won't have a fire department.
It's
We
not
can't
gonna
afford to
happen.
go full-time.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Can't afford it. There's no way, to staff a fire department, we cannot afford it.
I mean, I know what they're pushing for.
They're pushing for districts, but we cannot afford to sustain a full-time fire department. We'll never afford it. You're talking, I don't even know what you're talking. I've never even thought about it because I
I'm
know
just
it's-
asking.
They've been
Okay.
talking about that for 20 years.
Yep, yeah, that'll be when you lose your fire department. Just a few things real quick. I applied for a fire marshal grant, the 2020 fire marshal grant. As I said, I did not apply for marked pagers because every time we do, we're just wasting our time. So equipment's scoring a little higher this year, so what I did is I applied for, if you remember, we started replacing our hose. We've kind of put it on hold. I applied for 1,500 foot of 2.5 inch fire hose. I applied for 1,000 foot of 1 3/4 fire hose. And I also applied for all new 1.5 and 2.5 nozzles. If we can get it, that's a no-match grant, that's up to $15,000. And I think what I applied for coming in just shy, like 14,700 something. So it's on a whim if we even get it, but that's what I applied for, so you know it's there. And the only other thing, well, I have two more things. We only got one person going to fire school. I think we discussed that last meeting. I just want to make sure you're aware. Dustin King will be the only one going, so that'll be a little cheaper. I did call up the other day, Deb, and tell them I want his books included when they send us an invoice, and she said no problem. So it'll be, I think it's like $300 and some. We approved whatever, 500 or 600. It won't be half of that. The other guy, Jesse Bryan, isn't able to attend the class because of his schedule. And then the last thing I got is I just want to remind everybody, Saturday, March 21st is our quarter auction. Doors open at 5 p.m. and the auction starts at 6. It's usually a pretty good time. It's a good fundraiser for us, and it's ran by Our Lady Social Assembly, and we really appreciate what they do for us. So that's all I got, unless you guys got something for me.
You have here noted the Alexander benefit.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So April 4th, I forgot to write that on my paper. April 4th, they are having a benefit. It's for the Alexander family. I don't know. I don't want to specify too much. I'm sure most people probably know why. It's for Jane. Yes.
For Jane, okay.
Yes. They're having a benefit for her. They would like to use the hall, which we've given them permission to use. They're probably going to have alcohol, which we told them they got a contract with Beach City PD. He said that's no problem. The question he had for me is, what is the odds if they would open up the bay? I said, the bay is up to you guys. You guys lease the bay. We do not open the bay without asking for your permission. I told him the things we're gonna have to worry about is the weather. We can't have the truck sitting outside, obviously, if it's 20 degrees outside. But he's aware of all that. He was just curious. I said I would ask tonight what your thoughts were. I know we've opened it before for benefits. Frank was a member on our department for a lot of years, so I mean, it'd be nice to be able to help him out if we can.
Are you talking the back bay or one of
I'm
the front?
talking well, I don't know how much room he's talking. Because I even told him if it's really cold, we could still get the 2 squads in the grass truck out. But I don't know if he's talking the whole building like we do for the festival. I imagine what they're doing is they're going to do a Texas tournament, a Texas Hold'em tournament or something to try to raise more money, and he was wanting to try to set it up out there.
Can you bring that back to us? We got time?
We have until the 4th. Yeah, I can.
4th of April.
Mm-hmm.
We got one more meeting then.
Yep.
Find out how many bays they want, how many bays they really need.
Okay. I'll find out.
Is that okay with everybody? Okay.
And like I said, this is all gonna be pending weather. I mean, if it's warm, I don't mind the truck sitting out in the rain. Somebody gonna have to clean them when they go back in. But if it's freezing cold, the engines and the tanker just can't sit outside, and he knows that. He was on for a lot of years, so. Yes.
When you have the festival and you have alcohol, don't you have to keep it?
In an area, yes.
Okay, why I'm questioning that is having alcohol in the bay. That means we're gonna be responsible for the people if they're drinking in that bay.
And see, I don't know on a event such as this, I don't know if they're required to get a liquor permit. I mean, they're not, well, I guess they are selling it to make money. Yeah, I mean, he might not realize, what all he's getting into.
More about the poker too.
Okay, well, we'll have to talk about it then, because I mean, we're not gonna get ourselves into trouble, and I'm sure he's not trying to.
Oh, no.
I mean, they're just trying to think of ways to make money, and if this is something we can't do, then we'll talk about it, and we'll just tell him, hey, we can't do it, you know what I mean? Because we gamble during our festival, but we have a license to do so, you know what I mean? So, and we have a liquor permit to sell liquor, we have all that, and it's gotta be in a fenced-in area, it's gotta be police protected, which it will be, you know, so, I mean, we allow alcohol at the building for wedding receptions and stuff, but normally they are in the bed, or they're in the hall, I'm sorry, and they're not selling alcohol, they're just having it because of wedding reception, and they have to have security, so that's our rules.
Well, then you can bring it all back to us then, Billy.
I'll talk to Frank again, and I'll see what his plans are, and I'll bring all this stuff up, and we'll see what they got planned, so.
You might ask me if he's applying for license for it too.
And like I said, I'm fairly certain he's probably have a license to sell, I would almost venture to say, so. So I got it.
Okay, Chief. Chief got.
Alright, so our car's not here yet. From what I'm being told, delivery date of the 4th of this month,
Oh,
2 days.
geez.
It'll be here this week. It has been moved from Van Wert to the shop they have up north in Wadsworth. And from Wadsworth, it's gonna come down here. And their final convenience to us, from what I'm told. But I don't know. The SUV, we had to have it looked at, last week for the check engine light. The check engine light came on, and when you'd shut the car off, the car would stay running. So, which is, there's a emergency option in our cars called secure idle, that whenever we're on calls, we can leave the car running and take the key out, and if someone goes to get in it, they push the brake, the car shuts down, nothing happens. That button malfunctioned, causing the car to stay on and through all sorts of codes. So that's been fixed, it was $85, everything's fine there, but when he had it there, I had him check on, there's a popping in the front end, which is the lower control arm bushings, and it's gonna need alignment, and it's going to need new front brakes, rear brakes, and rotors, and then it's gonna need new tires.
How many miles on this car?
50,000. So, the total I'm gonna need is going to be, it comes in 1908-12, and that's for 2,000, but I don't need it yet. The car can still, he said it's fine for now, it lasts through the summer, but it's stuff that's gonna need to be done. So if I can get the approval tonight, come into summer, when the time comes that, you know, the brakes starts
No,
going on.
you're
or
gonna
whatever.
do brakes and you're gonna have all the other stuff done too at the same time.
Whenever needs done, when the tires start showing more tread or the brakes need done, I'm gonna get everything done at once.
Well, you're a bad driver.
I don't drive. So,
What's the rest of you wanna do on that one?
listen, I'm not going to do it just yet, but I'd like whenever the brakes go or something, I can say, hey, let's just get with Debbie and just take it up there and get it done.
Is that all you got for money?
That's it.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thanks, guys.
Bennett,
Yes.
Richards? Yes. McKinney,
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
And Schott.
Yes.
And that's all I need.
Oh, thank you, Chief.
Thanks, guys. That's much quicker than fire department.
Yeah, I noticed.
A lot more expensive. I just want to go on record and say it's a lot more expensive.
All right, Greg, you up?
All right. I just have a few things, nothing too insane. I just signed off and approved our Osmos contract, which is a pole inspection company. They came here and did the north end of our distribution system for electric, I believe last year. And this is just for them to come in and inspect our poles and kind of tell us what we need to do. And they'll be doing that whenever I speak with them, and I set up a time for them to come in. But I sent that in, I believe, last week, so that's done. And what they just do, they come in and kind of tell us what the situation our poles are in, and if we need to replace them, which ones we need to replace. and they'll go around and do the whole distribution system for the south end. They did the north end last year. So that's one thing. The other thing I was looking at, we were going with a company called W.W. Williams that serviced our generators and also did preventive maintenance on that. And I started to look into it. There's a gentleman that lives on Portland Avenue who worked for CAT for, I believe, 11 years, who's now doing his own business, and he just sent me a quote today that came in significantly lower than W.W. Williams. We're not under contract with them right now, but it's kind of a contract that will lapse unless you tell them you don't want to use them anymore. So until I look over everything again and get it finalized, I'm going to be calling W.W. Williams, who's out of Hubbard, who is actually kind of expensive when it comes to maintaining our equipment, and I'm going with a guy that lives on Portland Avenue who's a lot closer, has 11 years of experience, already has his insurance and his bond information and his vendor certification in the state of Ohio. So in the long run, over the course of 3 years, I want to say rough numbers, I have them written down in my office, but he's going to be saving us in the neighborhood of about $3,200 to $3,500 just for servicing our generators. And W.W. Williams came out to about $12,000 over the course of 3 years. So he's coming in way lower, he's local, we can call him anytime we need him, and he's not charging us mileage. W.W. Williams, instead of coming down and servicing all of our generators at once, would come down at different intervals and charge us about $83 every time they came down just for mileage, just for them to get in their truck and come down here to Beach City to service everything. So he's coming in a lot cheaper. He's already done some work down at the sewer plant and also out at Wilmont. So I think it's a good move, it's saving the village money. So that's something that I'll bring back next time to give you exact numbers, but I'm going to be calling W.W. Williams and canceling our contract with them. Other thing, I got a phone call from a gentleman who is the superintendent for Metis Construction, who will be doing the Dollar General site out on 212 and State Route 250. And this Friday, I'm going to be meeting with him and also one of our electric guys and one of our water guys to kind of establish a rough timeline for their temporary electric service and kind of mark out everything that we need to for them to figure out when they're going to bore over to connect into our water and just set up a time frame for that. And I only got two more things. I've gotten quotes for the transfer switch at County 1 lift station. I'm still in the process of getting 2 more quotes for that. The problem that arose with that is that with Buckeye Power Sale, which is where we got the previous one, they service the entire state of Ohio, parts of Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, they're all over. So for me to go out and get these quotes, it would be a lot more, but our insurance company wants me to get at least 3 because they're such a large purchase. So that's what's taking a little bit more time on that. And other than that, that's about all I have.
How much was that switch? What kind of-
$11,000 for the Buckeye Power Sale quote. Originally it was $33,000, so the technology's caught up a lot with what we need. And even the old one we had was way over designed for what we needed. I was talking with one of the representatives of Buckeye Power Sales, and they said that's something that they use in a hospital setting, which we don't need. So,
Mine was over $3,000 when I bought mine.
yeah, this one's about $30,000. The one the lady hit about 20 feet.
And she's only got it searched for 25.
Correct. Oh, and you can talk about water.
Okay.
Well, you-
Babbitt, go
Will
ahead.
you bring that up about the bridge then, when you get a chance?
Yeah, like I said, I've been talking with that guy at ODOT. He just needs to. They're very hard to get a hold of. So I will.
Over on the bridge on 212, they hit the curb and the steel showing through over there at a lot of different places. They did underneath the bridge last year,
Yeah.
but they didn't do the top.
Yeah, I understand that. All right, Mr. Babbitt.
The only thing I would address is the ongoing negotiations with the city of Canton for the water contract. Those are still going on. I think I received a draft from them back last week, and then Greg and I sat down before the meeting tonight and just went over what they had proposed, trying to work on some additional revisions that I'm gonna send over to them tomorrow. So that's still in process. I don't wanna say too much because it is still being negotiated. I know there was some question about whether the contract would have the rate set forth in them. It sets forth the structure under which the rates would be imposed on the village, but the rates are not going to appear in it. It may be as some sort of addendum. We would have the current rates, but anytime they would change is going to require legislation. So the separate legislation is going to have to be adopted anyways. So rather than amending an entire contract every time you have a rate change, the legislation that would be enacted would accomplish the same thing while having the global agreement in place. But again, I don't want to say too much about the agreement, except that we have another draft that we're going to send over to the city. I'll send it to them tomorrow, and then hopefully, in short order, we'll have probably at the next meeting a draft that council could consider. Other than that, I don't have it.
I got one thing, if anybody's interested to go free sunshine law certified training, that's gonna be in May, but the only reason I'm bringing it up now is that I don't know how much room they got, it's gonna be over in Canton, and we'd have to register with the Attorney General, so if anybody wants to go, just let me know. It's from 1 PM to 4:15.
On what date?
It's May 20th, and that would be on a Wednesday.
Could we send the lawyer instead?
No,
Not one of you
I-
wanna go.
What I would
No,
tell you.
I'm sure he's probably knows the sunshine law.
Yeah, I've done it, and that actual course is available online. If you go to the AG's website,
Okay.
you can take the video course, it'll give you a certificate at the end, everything, so it
So
makes.
you don't even have to go?
No, I
Okay.
think it's the exact same training, same
Oh, yeah.
certificate, so,
Because it's the Attorney General, and then we go through all that, so.
yeah.
All right, well, that's good. That's all I got. Oh, the pole's fixed on 212 and 93, in case anybody.
I noticed that today.
Yeah, that wasn't ours, that was, who was that first name?
Cable company, I think it's Frontier.
Or the cable, oh, it's Frontier. Okay. Anything else?